When you won South Carolina, President Obama called. You had a conversation with the president, and that same question, was there a discussion of endorsement? Did you ask for one? Did he offer one? Did you discuss it as something that would happen later down the line?
Lawrence, the reason why the historians are saying the two closest president and vice presidents have ever been are Joe Biden and Barack Obama, because I never discuss our conversations. And I'm not going to start now.
Was that the first call during the campaign, or has it been calling?
Look, I've spoken to the president not infrequently. He's a friend. I asked him in the beginning, and I know none of you believed it, I asked him not to endorse me, because the first thing that happened, Lawrence, and you'll know this better than anybody, is when I announced it was, well, Biden feels entitled. He was the former vice president. Biden's running because he's running on Obama's coattails. I did not think it would be helpful to me if the president came out and endorsed me at the front end of this. It would have gone to the whole notion of entitlement. It would have pulled the president in a way that it wasn't necessary. And I really thought, and I still believe, I got to earn this on my own. I'm absolutely confident if I'm the nominee, the President of the United States, former President Barack Obama, who I think was a great president, a lot of people all of a sudden are finding him. Haven't you noticed in their ads? Everybody all of a sudden is loving Barack Obama when they were critical of him, like, Bernie saying he should be primary in 2016, and Mike was a good guy, Bloomberg, but saying that healthcare was a disaster. Anyway, I just think that it's a matter of me being able to go out and win it on the merits. I do say, and I'm not joking, I think we need a Democrat as the nominee, and I mean it literally, a Democrat. And I am a Democrat. And when they ask me what kind of Democrat, I'm an Obama-Biden Democrat. We've been very progressive. We're just getting started. We saved this economy. We grew it in a way that is larger than this president, than Trump has grown it in 3 years. And we were working on building up the middle class when things fell apart. We lost. And so it's about building on, not going back to, it's about building on and moving that next step to bring everybody along. And so that's what I mean. We need a Democrat who is able to put together the coalitions that we put together. Working class, high school educated white Americans, African Americans, Latinos, suburban women, and so across the board. And I think that we got that off the ground. For example, we talk about how, Bernie's turning out all the vote. Bernie's a great guy. But let me tell you, if you take a look at South Carolina, there were, I think, 158,000, something like that, well over 100,000 more votes than ever been cast, even when Barack ran in 2008. And they've turned out, and I got those votes, the vast majority of them. I won every single solitary county. So what's starting to happen is that we're beginning to focus on the choices here. You can, in fact, elect nominate a guy who wants a revolution, or a guy who, in fact, says we're going to have results, significant progressive results.